Hi there! Today I'm going to show you something that is not very educational, neither I like to do very much, however, has to be done nonetheless. I'm going to clean my Akkie's enclosure and going to show you so you can see what chores you have to do when it comes to maintenance. This is something that has to be done every 3 months. This time I waited even a bit longer than I should have, due to the large amount of work at the office. I'm going to be honest here, the enclosure started to smell, so I couldn't wait any longer. First, I let the substrate dry out completely. Without moisture, it weighs significantly less. The animals don't mind a bit of dry period, and for me, it's easier to clean dry substrate if I make a mess. While I'm cleaning the enclosure, my Ackies go to the bathtub where they take a warm bath. Ackies don't like to bathe particularly, mine are always trying to escape from the water. If you put them into water just deep enough to cover their entire body, they get relaxed and sometimes they even fall into sleep. Since I rarely give a bath to my Ackies, these occasions are wonderful for soaking them, hydrating them on an extra level. Once the substrate has dried out, I take it out to a bag. Depending on the substrate, I either take it out and throw it on the base of the trees outside, or find a place where I can dispose it when it contains sand. Once I got most of the substrate out, I'm done with this part of the cleaning. I always leave some of the old substrate in the enclosure, so beneficial organisms can start multiplying from it once the new substrate is added. Some keepers like to clean the enclosure fully, even bleaching it out. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I do this level of cleaning only when I'm cleaning after some sort of a sickness or parasitic infestation within the enclosure. Before I prepare the new substrate, I clean certain parts of the enclosure with a vacuum cleaner, which I use only for this kind of jobs. Personally, I don't like to use the same vacuum cleaner for cleaning my flat, for that I have another one. The next step is to create the new mix for the substrate. I'm not going fancy this time because I will give an upgrade to this enclosure in the near future, so I will go with the same mix I use for my Savanna monitors, which is cheap and serves all the demands well. The mix contains sand, topsoil and cocoa fiber. In the future, I will add reptile and switch playground sand to Exoterra's red desert sand, which looks phenomenal, however, it's way too expensive to just throw it into a temporary enclosure. Ackies love to dig, so I add a lot of substrate and I pile it high for them. Before I started mixing the substrate, I cleaned all the props in the enclosure. I just took them out and gave a good rinsing to everything in the bathtub. Yet again, since my animals are perfectly healthy, there was no need for chemicals, clean water was perfectly enough. I made sure I cleaned all the waste from the props, and that was all. The only part I took a little bit more time with was the water wall. That I cleaned carefully, ridding from all the algae that was grown on the inside. After I finished rinsing everything, I let them simply dry and put them aside till I was ready to assemble the enclosure again. When the substrate was ready, I could start placing the stones. There are two conditions I had to watch for. The formation had to have cracks and crevices for the animals, and the whole thing had to be stable enough so it wouldn't fall on my lizards. I made a little artificial cave out of cement. My Ackies love to hide in it. Sometimes they even use it for nesting. I covered it with substrate so the animals could dig it out for themselves. Then the next box was placed and surrounded by branches and core bark, so the only entrance got to be partially hidden. On top of that, I piled a fair amount of dirt on it, so the whole thing got to be really worked into the substrate, hiding the box even more. These cleaning sessions are great opportunities for renovating your terrariums. When there are no animals in it, you can fix whatever has to be fixed without getting bothered by your curious lizards. Here, for example, I had to apply new covers for the UV lamp. The old covers were destroyed by the Ackies trying to catch the locusts that try to avoid their doom, hiding at the base of the bulb. I like to use these covers so the excessive amount of light doesn't bother my eyes. The job is almost finished. Water bowl has to be placed. I like to place it to the cool side of the enclosure so the water stays cooler and the algae grows much slower. If you want your water at the warm side, you have to change it and clean the bowl more frequently. When water is at the cool side, I change it every other day. With it being at the warm side, it has to be changed twice a day. Once everything is in place, there is only one thing left, and that is misting the enclosure. Sometimes the substrate mix gets a bit too moist initially. Those times I simply skip misting for a couple of days. And finally we are done. Looks good, doesn't it? I'd like to have it this way for a long time, but we all know it will never be the same. These little devils will escape it as they please, and that is how it should be. This is their home after all. Now it's time for putting these little devils back to their enclosure. For me, this whole ordeal is worth my time and energy for this moment. I just love to watch them exploring their home, checking out everything, smelling the new substrate. If you want, you can completely change the layout of the enclosure, providing extra enrichment with the new stage. Right now, I just leave it as it was, because I'm planning to renew their terrarium completely anyways. A few hours later, I like to offer food already. With this, I can see if the procedure caused any stress to the animals. Usually, they accept the food without problem, just like now so. Well, this was for today's video. The whole procedure took about 2.5 hours with filming. I think I could have done it in 1.5 if I was in a hurry. 1.5 hours maintenance in every 3 months is really not much. Besides this, only spot cleaning has to be done on a daily basis. I wanted you to see that keeping reptiles comes with responsibilities, but these things are actually very relaxing if you just let your thoughts go meanwhile. If you like this video, please like, subscribe and turn the post notifications on so you won't miss out on new content that I upload. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, I will answer as fast as I can. See ya guys!